What is up, internet? How are you people? In today's video, I thought I would do something a little bit different, just like a conversational video. The other day, I played a different game than DDR on stream, and a lot of people liked it. A lot of people were interested in what else I like to play. So in this video, I want to go over my favorite video games ever that I've played. Now, of course, DDR is probably at the top, but these are the other video games that I've played throughout my life. So I'm going to separate this video into two sections. The first section is going to be non-rhythm games. If you're only interested in rhythm games, the second half, or in the scrubber, whatever the timestamp is in the scrubber, that'll be for the other rhythm games that I've played. I figured instead of sorting from like best to worst or worst to best, I'm going to sort by what I remember hours invested into these games. I'm just gonna select one game. I'll tell you if I played more in the series. I'm gonna start this list with Burnout 3. Burnout 3 was seriously one of the best racing games I've ever played in my life. Not just because of the high, fast-paced racing, not because of the takedown system, which was freaking incredible. Okay, hitting someone and then watching their car fly away and then getting more boost added to your boost gauge definitely was like a dopamine hit for me. Okay, maybe I'm crazy, but that was like a really fun experience. But if you was to get rid of the racing and only have the extra mode, which was crash mode, I probably would have put just as much time into that game. I think I spent more time in crash mode than the regular racing. Crash mode, for those of you who've never played the Burnout series, they basically put you somewhere in the world, people just going on with their lives, NPCs, and you would literally crash into them and try to cause the biggest amount of damage for a car accident. And you had things like explosions, multipliers. It basically was a puzzle that you had to figure out how to get the highest score. I believe they tried making a standalone game like that, like a spiritual successor, but nothing could compare. In my opinion, it was perfect. It was perfection. You're gonna do this again? Do I have to go somewhere else and record? If you have a PlayStation 2, an Xbox, and you could try this game out, the graphics probably haven't held up too well. The rest of the game is so phenomenal that it just took so much of my time. If they made a remake of it and just like made it 4K, added a few new tracks, a few extra crash courses, some new cars, it would be a day one purchase for me. Honestly, it was such a good game. Okay, so unfortunately I had to come lock myself in the room because the babies will not stop crying. As you could hear, they're banging on my door. The next game, this is not a racing game list, but the next game is Midnight Club 3. The car selection, the mods that you could do to the cars, and the racing were all just so awesome. The thing that I loved the most about Midnight Club was the fact that they had a racetrack editor. Now, for those of you who've never played Midnight Club didn't have tracks. They dropped you into a city, and the city was open. You could literally take any route you wanted. There were little smoke light arrow directional things in the city that you would follow. And there were shortcuts, and some routes were longer than others. It was up to you to decide how to do this race. There were basically no restrictions at all, which made it a really fun, challenging video game. But there was a track editor, and this was the first racing game, I believe, that I played online, or at least put a decent amount of hours online. You could make a track with the track editor, make people do like crazy jumps, go in alleyways, like just things that weren't really normal. You could make strangers online play your track. Like they wouldn't even know what they had coming to them. They would just jump in the server, boom, they're in a custom track that they've never seen before. And you would watch all these people try to do your track, and it was so fun. A lot of video games like Stepmania that allow you to create your own stuff, I've always fell in love with them. I always had a lot of time invested into those games. A game like that that I loved, but it's not on this list because I didn't have too much time into it, was Mario Maker. Loved Mario Maker. Unfortunately, it didn't make this list because I just simply don't have enough time into it. But just to like explain something, I love games like that where you can put anything you want to happen. That always like interests me. The next game on this list is probably like really left field for you people, but Hot Shots Golf for the PlayStation Vita. Hot Shots Golf was like such a fun video game. I spent a lot of time because even when the game is done, you still feel like playing it. Even if you completed the story mode, even if you unlocked everything, if you could get a hole-in-one, how many times you could play a course, what's the best score you could get. It was a really fun game. There was a lot of Easter eggs, a lot of hidden paths, a lot of ways to get on the green that were unorthodox, like using a sidewalk to make the golf ball bounce really high. I had a lot of hours into Hot Shots Golf for the PS Vita. I forgot the official name for it. I'll find it. I'll put videos of it on screen. Hot Shots Golf was freaking amazing. I did play the one on the PSP as well, but it wasn't as polished. The graphics weren't really that good. The one for the PS Vita felt like you were playing a PlayStation 3 game on the go, which was crazy. Next up on this list is gonna be 2 games in a row, but in reverse order. Mario Sunshine for the Nintendo GameCube and Super Mario 64. I have a little bit more time in Mario 64 just because of how nostalgic of a video game it is. The levels, the castle, the music, everything about Mario 64 just makes it a little bit better. They're basically the same game. Instead of Peach's Castle, you got Delfino Plaza. Those games are really freaking hype. I wasn't a fan of Mario Galaxy. I didn't really care for it. Mario Odyssey also was a game that I played, but it's not on this list because I just not only haven't put enough time into it, I don't think I've even cleared it. Mario Odyssey felt like a game that I played once and like I was done with it, in comparison to Mario Sunshine and especially Super Mario 64. In my opinion, Mario 64 is the best of the series. That could just be though because of the year I grew up and when I played it. Nostalgia probably has a huge factor for me in my choices. The next video game on this list, now again, I'm not counting series, which is why Mario Sunshine and Mario 64 is on here. The next game on this list, I would have to say, I'm just gonna pick one out of the series because I have a lot of hours in most of them. I'll just pick the one that I have the most hours in. It's probably going to be Modern Warfare 2, the original Modern Warfare 2. I have a video clip somewhere, I'll try to find it, of me waiting in line at the mall around midnight. And we had around 800 people in line waiting to pick up this game. That was like one of the most fun video game events I ever went to. So many friends were there, so many people that I knew. They were doing giveaways, people were winning upgrades to the special edition versions, controllers. There was food brought to you by the mall's food court for free. They donated food to the GameStop to give away to people waiting in line. That was like a really fun, crazy event. But the game itself, I don't think Call of Duty has captured that fun since Modern Warfare 2. Now, Modern Warfare 3, of course, was great. Modern Warfare 1 started it all. But Modern Warfare 2, the hype in that game. If you are bored after this video, type in YouTube Modern Warfare 2 freakout reactions. Okay, from that alone, you'll understand the hype that was in that game. It was absolutely ridiculous how people used to react playing that video game. The craziness that would go on. I was a huge fan of using the throwing knife. Freaking phenomenal video game. Loved every minute of that game. Up until the hackers took over and there was like no beating people with one-man army. It was like that kind of ruined it, but up until then, one of the greatest shooting games I've ever played. Now this is just me going by memory. I might have forgotten a game or two,
As I'm editing this video, literally right now, it just hit me, and I don't know how I forgot about it during recording, but Halo 3 was another phenomenal game that I put a lot of freaking hours into. Now, I don't know if it was more or less than Modern Warfare 2. If I had to just put it down on the list somewhere, I would probably put it a little bit less than MW2. But wow, Halo 3 was another freaking amazing video game. Definitely deserves to be on this list. There's a lot of games that I played that I wouldn't say are my personal favorite that should be like on this list. Like I played Need for Speed Underground. I played a lot of games like that. Need for Speed Most Wanted, now that I think about it, see, it's hard to remember everything at once. Need for Speed Most Wanted, I would probably put either right above or right below Midnight Club. That game was really freaking fun. Just running from the police on that video game is one of the funnest feelings ever, trying to get away. Once that Corvette cop started chasing you, you knew it was serious. That's another racing game that needs to be on this list because I played it a lot. Not the new Most Wanted. Talking about the original Most Wanted that came out for the Xbox 360. Next up on this list is, in my opinion, the greatest story video game ever. Out of all the video games I've played story-wise and like just exploration and fun, this is at the top. I've beaten this game the most times out of every video game I've ever played. Like from pressing start for the first time to the final boss and seeing the credits. I must have cleared this game 30 times, maybe even more. I wouldn't be surprised if it was closer to 50. And that game is The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Besides the weird glitches and stupid stuff that happens here and there, that game is as close to perfection as I think any video game ever was. If I'm not mistaken, on Metacritic, which is a website that puts all the reviews together to give you a final score, I think it has the highest score of any video game ever in history. Ocarina of Time is freaking legit. I even have an ocarina myself and learned how to play a few songs, which is a weird flex, but sure. Ocarina of Time is really absolute perfection in my opinion. I've played it so much. In my opinion, my favorite video game, the greatest video game, single player story mode style video game ever. If you haven't played Ocarina of Time, give it a shot. I set it up recently on my TV and was letting my kids play it, and I was just watching them, and like if they needed help, like I would give them help. I enjoy the game so much. I enjoy watching other people play it for the first time. It's like when you have a really good movie that someone hasn't seen and you want to watch it with them, even though you've seen it 100 times, just watching it with someone new makes it like worth watching again. I'm literally doing that right now. We named Link Pookie for some reason. Some honorable mentions before we get to the most hours I've ever put into a video game. Honorable mentions would be stuff like the other entries in Call of Duty. Modern Warfare 3, Modern Warfare 1. Ghost, I didn't play too much, but I really enjoyed it on the smaller maps. I don't know why the bigger maps were a thing. It made no sense. The new Modern Warfare, I played a bunch because my friends were all on it and I didn't really have nothing else to do. I played a ton of Portal. Now, not enough to make the main list, but definitely worth an honorable mention. Portal, the cake is a lie. I loved every second of the story mode of Portal, especially Part 2. Part 1 was more of like a proof of concept. Part 2 was an actual story mode video game, and it was freaking awesome. Portal 2, I need to re-download it. I'm pretty sure I have it on my Steam. I should play that on stream maybe one day. It's a really fun game. Other honorable mentions would be video games like The Legend of Zelda, Twilight Princess, probably second place in hours put into after Ocarina of Time, and then Wind Waker. Or I guess Wind Waker and Twilight Princess would be tied. Wind Waker was amazing, but the HD remake that included like an extra sail for your boat so that we don't have to keep playing music to switch the direction of where the wind is going. Wind Waker HD was awesome. Another honorable mention would be The Legend of Zelda Minish Cap, which was a Game Boy Advance video game, and in my opinion, one of the best Zelda games ever created. The mechanic of turning really tiny to explore other parts of the world that you can't see while being huge was awesome, and was actually supposed to be in Breath of the Wild, but they cut it due to time constraints. It was such a good mechanic that they thought of bringing it to the newer generation Zeldas. I hope they do it again one day, because people that didn't get to experience the Game Boy version would really appreciate it on the new video games. I think for the final honorable mention, a game that I still play till today, but not as much as I've played the other video games, would probably be Fortnite. And higher than Fortnite, in my opinion, is Apex Legends. Fortnite is fun because of the building mechanic, but then when you get into the lobby of professional builders, you can't really beat them. Apex Legends is more like Titanfall, which is another honorable mention, I guess. I really loved playing Titanfall. Apex Legends was freaking awesome, and I still play it every once in a while when I get the chance. I don't have a console anymore, so I use my daughter's PlayStation or my other daughter's Xbox to play Apex once in a while. Apex Legends is really fun. Every second that I'm playing it is like a joy for me. If I had my own console, I'd probably put enough hours into it to get it onto the main list. But I don't, and I don't plan on doing that anytime soon. Unless I hit the lottery or something and I don't have to work anymore, then probably not going to be getting a console anytime soon. Okay, so the moment you've all been waiting for. The number one game that I've put most of my hours into is number one on this list is Super Smash Bros. Melee. For those of you who don't know, Super Smash Bros. Melee is a video game that came out, I believe, in 2001, 2002, somewhere around that time frame. It came out for the Nintendo GameCube, and it utilized every inch of the controller. So, for example, pressing the R button for your shield, the shield would get tighter the more pressed in the R button would be. And then for other things, like the notches in the controller and the analog stick, were things that made a difference when playing the game. Ever since the first time I picked up Super Smash Bros. Melee, I haven't really stopped playing it. Yes, the other Smash games that came out after were great. Brawl had an amazing story mode, which was so fun to play through. Smash 4 was phenomenal. Smash Ultimate is good, but I don't have anyone to play it with, and the online is just like mediocre, and the fact that I gotta pay to play the mediocre online is a huge turnoff for me. Melee, I've played it so much with family and friends, with my sister, with my cousins, and then during the pandemic, which I was already playing it before the pandemic, like I kept playing it here and there. During the pandemic, they modded it and added online. And ever since they've done that, I haven't stopped playing Melee. Like, I've played Melee, for sure, more hours than I've played any other video game, which is crazy to think about. But since it released in the early 2000s till now, I haven't stopped playing it, and I have only been playing with Young Link. I guess that makes sense because my favorite video game of all time is The Legend of Zelda. Young Link is freaking fun to play in Melee. It sucks because he's combo food and so many people have easy ways to knock him off stage and to edgeguard him. But it's fun and challenging to beat the better players as Young Link. Like, you could tell by the way a person starts playing that you piss them off and they're like really trying to get you, and if you got an upper hand on them and you're confusing them, it's like the best feeling ever. Young Link versus Fox and making the Fox lose is one of the greatest feelings ever. I have more time in Super Smash Bros. Than any other video game that's non-rhythm, and I played it on stream the other day and I got a ton of support from you people, which was very surprising, which is leading me to make this video. I didn't think anybody would stick around watching me play Melee, but at one point I think I had like 14 viewers consistently watching me, which is crazy. It just sucks because I was playing horribly, and I guess when you play bad, people don't care to watch you anymore, and the viewers dipped really fast. I might play it on stream on this channel once in a while. I made a poll recently and a lot of people said, give it a shot, play it once in a while. I guess people don't mind having a non-DDR game on this channel being played, so that's cool. Appreciate that. Really love the support from you guys. Okay, now we're gonna switch to the rhythm game side. I don't even know how to sort this by hours because I've played each rhythm game so much. Like, I definitely have a better idea on the non-rhythm video game side. It might be skewed a little bit. We're gonna start with the top, of course, DDR. I have the most hours invested in DDR. And if we're not considering Stepmania DDR, then it would be DDR, Stepmania, and ITG in that order. After 4 panel dance games, right? We'll just throw all those into one category. We'll just call it DDR. After DDR, the next rhythm game that I invested the most time into would be DJ Max Portable for the PSP. DJ Max Portable is a really awesome rhythm game. It was a PSP exclusive, but it had songs from a bunch of other DJ Max video games. Some songs that I've actually added into my Stepmania and created step charts for. The soundtrack for DJ Max is excellent. There's a lot of songs that have potential for being step charts. I really need to revisit DJ Max again. I haven't played it in a while, but when I did have a PSP and I did have that game, I was playing it a lot. Definitely second place in terms of hours invested. It's basically like a DDR, but you can choose, I believe, from 4 to 6, possibly even 8 items falling down, and you have to hit them to the beat of the music. Really fun game. Highly recommend people check it out if you haven't played it already. Even if you don't have a PSP to play it, just check out a few videos about it. It's a really interesting, fun music game. After DJ Max Portable would be Osu. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, honestly, but it's just OSU. How do you pronounce that? For those of you who don't know, Osu is a rhythm game that is full touchscreen only. You would play it by following little dots that appear on the screen. Some of them could be long, some of them need to be tapped multiple times in multiple areas. There's even a spin mechanic where you would have to spin a wheel as fast as you can to the beat of the music. Osu is a really, really fun rhythm game. The problem with Osu and me is that I learned how to play Osu with a stylus, which is hard to explain this situation that I'm in because people use a mouse, of course, to play Osu. When people play with the mouse, they either use their left hand for clicks or they use both mouse buttons, which to me is just wild. I don't even know how that's possible. To click both mouse buttons while you're moving the mouse at the same time to rhythm sounds a little complicated. People play Osu a very different way than I play Osu. And the reason I play Osu that way is because of a video game that came out for the Nintendo DS called Elite Beat Agents. Elite Beat Agents was like a comic book story mode style video game where you would use the Nintendo DS pen and just follow the music. It was basically Osu for the DS. After I realized that they made an Osu for Android phones, I downloaded it, and it's basically like Stepmania. You could import any song you want, you could create your own charts for it. Although I was never good at creating charts for that game, so I just would let the professionals take care of it and download whatever song I wanted. I would play Osu on a phone with a pen. The problem with doing that is there's a lot of songs that require tapping like one area. Like the way we would play DDR and have streams, imagine streams just on one arrow. And instead of using 2 feet like Christopher Life would do and doing like a foot switch kind of situation, imagine just tapping the pen in one spot as fast as you can. It's not intended to be that way, but that's how I'm left to play the game because I'm playing on an Android phone with a pen and I can't move the pen that fast. So most of the time I was left playing easier charts, but it was a really fun video game. And whoever I showed it to would immediately be interested and want to try it. They did end up making a version for iPhone, used multiple fingers at once. I never liked that concept. I always liked playing it just one cursor, one mouse pointer, one pen, and that's it. Using multiple fingers to play Osu just doesn't feel right, so I never really played that version. But the Osu on Android, and my friends would kill me. Whoever had a Galaxy phone that had the stylus in there, I think it was called the Note. Whoever had the Note phone, I would immediately ask them if I could download a game. And if they said yes, I would download Osu and spend like 20 minutes of the time that we were together playing it on their phone, because that pen and that phone, the larger screen, the low latency input from the pen made playing that game so much fun. I thought about buying a Galaxy Note so many times just to play that game better. It's so fun on that phone. The next rhythm game on this list would definitely be DJ Max Technica. For those of you who don't know, DJ Max Technica is a rhythm game where you have a huge touchscreen in front of you, and it would be split into two sections. You would have one section that would sweep left and another section that would sweep right. In my opinion, a really, really fun game. The reason I don't have more time invested into it is because all the arcades that I originally played it at either don't have it anymore, or the machines were out of order, or I'm just not near those arcades anymore. The app that came out for, I don't remember if it was on Android or iPhone, to be honest with you, but it's really expensive to get more songs. I've made an account. I purchased a few songs, but then something happened. I forgot the password, or I can't get into my account for some reason. I just stopped playing it because of that. It's such a fun, awkward, really weird rhythm music game, but I love it. The soundtrack, again, awesome. This game is more acceptable to me using multiple fingers because you get like really ahead of time knowledge of when you're supposed to use multiple fingers, unlike Osu, which is like maybe a few beats before, in comparison to DJ Max Technica, which is like a few seconds you'll know before you have to use two fingers or more. DJ Max Technica, a really awesome rhythm game. I wish arcades had it. Like if they brought it to round one near me, I would invest a lot of money into it. It's such a fun rhythm game. Really awesome. Really loved it. Wish they brought it back. I wish the one on the App Store was cheaper. Like if I could pay a one-time fee of like $30 or $40 to have all the songs unlocked, I would do it. Another video game, I think this one should go higher than DJ Max. I kind of got ahead of myself. We're going to lower DJ Max Technica on this list. Guitar Hero. Guitar Hero and Rock Band. I guess you could put them in the same slot because I invested so much time into both of those. It's a tie between them. If you've never played Guitar Hero, what are you doing with your life? Guitar Hero and Rock Band were so fun. Having that huge guitar controller, me and my cousin would take a bunch of pictures with our guitar controllers. For stylistic purpose. I don't even know why we did it. It was just fun. It's a shame because of how bad they treated it as a cash grab. Instead of letting the series become like DDR, having new ones come out and people actually enjoying them and loving them, they let the money and greed get to them, and they kind of destroyed it. Guitar Hero 3, in my opinion, was the best, especially trying to complete Through the Fire and the Flames. My fingers would hurt so much. It was such a struggle. And then playing like 5 or 6 minutes and failing and only having a minute left of the song was so brutal. But it was so fun to play. Guitar Hero 3, really awesome video game. Rock Band was more fun because of the extra instruments and actually playing like a group. Having 4 players compared to the 1 or 2 players of Guitar Hero was a lot better. Rock Band, freaking awesome. We had Rock Band 1, 2, and 3. Not sure if we had 4. I really enjoyed playing the drums on Rock Band. It was really, really fun. And as for honorable mentions, PSP Revolution, which is basically just Stepmania for the PSP. Spent a lot of time playing that. I've also played Tapmania on the iPhone, which is again Stepmania for the iPhone. See a pattern here? Bunch of different Stepmania ports for different systems, different consoles, different media devices, iPhones, iPads, Android. Played them all. Another game I played that was like fun, but it didn't really catch on too much for me. I'm sure there's other players that loved this game. Was Re-Rave. I believe that's what it was called. Re-Rave was an arcade game where you would touch power buttons to the beat of music. Jukebox, I think that's what it's called, was also another fun music game, but up until a certain level I couldn't even read it anymore, so I never got too invested into it. I'm not sure if I put more time into it would I have been able to play it better. For up to the level that I could play, Jukebox was also a really fun music game. And for the last honorable mention, a video game that I'm trying to learn how to play is Sound Voltex. Sound Voltex at the higher levels is absolute insanity. I've never seen a rhythm game get so intense before. The craziness that people do and how the whole game starts like spinning and rotating and going sideways and you're still supposed to know what's going on is crazy. I've played Sound Voltex at easier levels and it's really, really fun. It was actually recommended to me by a friend a long time ago, but it was nowhere near an American arcade game until round one brought it by. A couple times when I was resting after playing like an intense set of DDR, I would go play Sound Voltex for a little bit, but I suck at it. Like, I'm nowhere near good. So that's a video game that hopefully one day will be higher up on the list. I don't think there's any other rhythm games that are worth mentioning here. I've never played like Beatmania. I've never played the Konami version of the guitar game. I've never played the taiko drums or whatever. I've never played the Donkey Kong. I've seen it. Friends of mine have had it. Maybe tried it out once or twice, but I've never owned it and like invested a lot of time into it. So let me know in a comment below what's your favorite non-rhythm video games, and then what's your favorite rhythm video games. Would love to hear about it. I appreciate your guys' support and allowing me to make a video like this. Stepping away from DDR for a bit maybe is a nice pace once in a while. That's gonna be it for this one. I am Nivik, and you are a blessing. Thanks for watching.